Hey, classmates. Obviously, I'm not in class right now, so I'm gonna try to make this really fast because it's supposed to be 5 minutes. But, anyways, um, so here's my project, ethnography project. I basically did it on studying the Northwest coffee culture, and the reason I chose it was because, like, in Hawaii, maybe it's because of the weather or the fact that it's not like super gray and cloudy all the time and rainy and makes you want to fall asleep. But we don't drink, like, I feel like drinking coffee isn't as much of a like routine thing, or going to coffee shops, I should say, isn't as much of a routine thing as it is in the Northwest, where like coffee shops are kind of like gathering places, and it's not really like that here. So, yeah. And I also watched a couple episodes of Portlandia before I moved to Oregon, and I thought the coffee shop episodes were pretty funny, so there's that too. And anyways, after doing a little research, I was gonna try to do my ethnography project in Portland, but that didn't really work out. So I did it in Eugene because my grandparents live there and they have a car and they could drive me to places. So I found a place called the Wandering Goat. If you've never been there, you should check it out. It's an interesting place. Anyways, we to get there, we had to drive by like this old. It seemed like kind of like an abandoned industrial area, which was a little bit not sketch, but I mean it was abandoned, sort of. And we drove by this skate park that was under a bridge. So I don't know. It was kind of just like a funky area, just like the coffee shop turned out to be. Um, so like I said, I was visiting my grandparents, so they decided to tag along, which was great. But I mean, we all showed up, and like they were like, I feel like most of the people there were between the ages of like 25 and 40, and they're in their 60s and 70s, so that alone made us to stand out a little. Plus the fact that like we were totally dressed different than everyone there because we were wearing like brightly colored athletic clothes. Like I was wearing purple leggings and stuff, and I'll talk about the norms of their dress later. But anyways, um, but they're also older and a little hard of hearing, so they talk super loud. So it was a little hard to blend in when your grandparents are like screaming at each other, "Hey, honey, what was that you wanted again?" I'm like, oh my god. Like, hopefully that didn't skew my results, but so here we go. In this presentation, I'm gonna try to get through this fast, but I'm gonna try to explain the five main facets of anthropology because I didn't define them very well in my paper. So, norms are basically like the things that are typical or normal in a particular society or culture. So one of the norms I found at the Wandering Goat was that a lot of people seem to be wearing earth tone clothing, which was why my grandparents and I stood out so much, because we weren't wearing that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was like earth tone, like brown and like cream colored and dark red and like earth tones, and all their clothes seem to be like free flowing and like like hippie vibes. So I thought that was an interesting norm because literally like no one was wearing bright colors. It was like all earth tones. And I was like, okay, guess I didn't get the memo, but anyways, so yeah, we turned a few heads when we walked in there. Next, I'm going to talk about the values that I felt the people held, that the patrons and the people that work there. So values are behaviors and or cultural standards that the members of a society feel are important to their lifestyle. And at the Wandering Goat, I saw very few people use like single-use cups that you just throw away, and I thought it was interesting. So like they seem like they're pretty highly value eco-friendliness, I guess. Cause like usually at Starbucks or whatever, people take cups to go, and then once they're done, they just toss them in the trash because you can't recycle them yet. But at this place, like, everything obviously wasn't, most of the stuff wasn't to go. I saw like 2 people in the 2 or 3, I think we were there for like 2 hours. I saw like 2 people come in and walk out with to-go cups. But in the one group, they all had their own like reusable coffee mugs anyway, so they're eco-friendly. So yeah, they value eco-friendliness. And another thing was like all the food was organic, and a lot of it was gluten-free, and they had milk substitutes. And although it was a little more expensive, like you could see that they valued like quality, and they valued where their food came from and how wholesome it was. So I think that was another value that I thought was pretty cool that they had there. Yeah. And next I'm going to talk about symbols, which are things in society, sorry, that usually stand for something else. So this part, it's kind of weird. Like, I walked in, and as soon as I walk in, like, this wave of, like, bad smelling something hits me, and I was like, what are they cooking in here? Like, this is disgusting. Why are these people sitting in here? And I realized it wasn't the shop. It was probably because, like I said, everyone's kind of hippie-ish, so they didn't wear deodorant, which I feel like now, like, you know, most people wear deodorant. It's just part of people's day. Wake up, put on deodorant so you don't smell gross. But these people don't do that. Also, the men's hair was like pretty long. A lot of them, like a majority of the men, had longer hair, and those who didn't still had pretty like edgy, like not the clean cut type of hairstyles. And I also saw some women with some interesting, like one woman had like a shaved part right here, and another woman's head was like completely bald. And, you know, it's kind of like not conforming to the gender roles, if that makes sense. Like, not saying that the women were... Anyways, I think you get where I'm trying to go with this. But, like, I feel like long hair on men has always kind of been a symbol of rebellion, so I thought that was a symbol. Especially since so many of them had long hair. It was a majority, not just, like, 2 people. And next I'm going to talk about worldview. Worldview is basically like the perspective people see the world from. So it seems to me that the Wandering Goat had a very, very, very liberal worldview. Because, like, I'm walking in with my grandparents, we order our coffee. I wasn't a fan of my hot chocolate, but anyways, it's not really the point. So we go and sit down and look up to the right at the table, and there's a picture of, like, a hairy penis. Yeah. I was with my grandparents, too, which, like, could have been really awkward, but luckily my grandparents are, like, super liberal, too. Like, they're not, like, the traditional grandparents, I guess. Like, traditional conservative, like, old-fashioned people. Like, they're pretty open-minded. So, yeah, they just laughed about it, but I mean, most places I've been to, like, I don't know about you, but I don't really find that very appetizing. Like, kind of made me lose my appetite looking up at that. And then adjacent to us at the table was a picture of a vagina. So that was cool too, but anyways, yeah. So I just think that they had a liberal worldview, because I don't know many traditionalists or like super conservative people that would put those kind of pictures up. Which, I mean, you're open to express yourself, it's your coffee shop, but I felt that was interesting. And finally, I'm going to talk about classification of reality. So basically, the people classify the world as classification of reality. I don't know if that's really the correct definition, but like, for example, time. Like, the way we use minutes and hours as increments of time to like structure our day is kind of a classification that we use to help structure our reality. So, I'm not really sure if I like hit the nail on the head or totally missed it on this one, but I thought that sound was kind of an interesting classification of reality that I observed, because when I went there, like a train passed while we were eating or drinking coffee or whatever. So like there was train tracks that went right by the place, the coffee shop, and so the horn was super loud and like no one even looked up. So I was like, wow, well I guess like this is normal for people. They don't classify that sound as something alarming like I did, because it like freaked me out, to be honest. I was like just sitting there and train passes and it's super loud and the walls are like shaking a little bit and I was like, okay, like what's going on? Look around. No one's looking up. No one's like, they're all used to it because they obviously, like I said, don't classify that sound as something alarming, because most of them were probably regulars. It seemed like a kind of place that would have a lot of regulars. So anyway, overall, I think the project went super well, or kind of well, and I've concluded that the TV show Portlandia, although it is extremely exaggerated, actually has some truth to it. Like, you know, keep Portland weird, keep Eugene weird, like, there's some weird places. And the things they said in there weren't completely wrong. Like, you know, I feel like it came from a place of truth. They just, like, you know what the media does, they just exaggerate things. So I realize that I'm going way over right now, but I think it would have benefited me greatly if I would have been able to have a longer time to, like, study my, I don't want to say subjects, but, you know, like, study my my people that were in ethnography. I can't talk right now. Because, like, I had a pretty limited time there, because I didn't want to ask my grandparents to, like, drive me there every day, you know. But anyways, even with the limited time, I was able to collect a ton of data. And, in conclusion, since I didn't really have a very good conclusion in my paper, sorry about that, by using the components of culture to guide my, like, analysis, I came up with this description of the group I studied. So, I found that the Northwest coffee subculture, as I have seen from the Wandering Goat, like, coffee in the Northwest seems to be, like, a way of life. Like, it's part of people's routine, and, coffee shops are kind of like a gathering place. Like, here, the gathering place I would think of is, like, the beach, but, yeah, coffee shops are just where people, like, meet and hang out and chill and, like, talk, kind of, except most of the people at the Wandering Goat are just listening to music. But anyways, the point is they just, like, go there to chill and relax, and it's not necessarily just to drink coffee. It's, like, for the atmosphere, too. And, as far as atmosphere, I think that the atmosphere of the coffee shop kind of has a huge impact on the type of people that come in. Like, the Wandering Goat was kind of quirky and, like, had those weird paintings everywhere, and, like, it had, like, a hippie vibe because, like, they had hemp milk and, like, a bunch of weird milk alternatives and substitutes, and everything was organic and whatever, but also, like, kind of had, like, some weird grunge punk rock type music playing in the background, and, like, dark lighting, and, like, a lot of like, there was a lot of black wall accents and stuff. So I think that the people in there kind of portrayed that type of vibe too. So, cause like I said, all earth tone clothing, like hippie type clothing, and the men with the long hair, and the women, some of the women having, like, being shaved heads, you know, bald, like, punk type haircuts. So, sorry this was super long. I just try to fit a lot in there since, you know, I'm trying to make up with not being there by being super, like, you know. Anyways, hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna go now. Bye.